trail of the lost treasure of El Dorado, and it's brought us here to this tiny island in the middle of the Pacific Ocean.
For what it's worth, Uncharted Drake's Fortune is one of those games that didn't age well, and while it might chart the journey of series protagonist Nathan Drake, it can be fairly forgettable. Not to say that Drake's Fortune is a bad game by any means, it just has some issues that prevent it from being a phenomenal one. The story follows Nathan Drake as he seeks the lost treasure of El Dorado with the help of journalist Elena Fisher and mentor Victor Sullivan. The search for El Dorado turns deadly as another treasure hunter named Gabriel Roman, backed by his partners Atak Navarro and Eddie Raja, hire mercenaries as well as pirates to acquire the treasure for themselves. While the story is simple, it's easily the strongest aspect of the original Uncharted, with the gameplay being the most weakest aspect of the game. Gameplay is similar to that of other third-person shooters, in which you can either use melee and combo attacks to take out foes, or opt to use weapons. Melee attacks comprise a variety of single punches, while combo attacks are activated through specific sequences of button presses that offer greater damage, the most damaging being the brutal combo, which forces enemies to drop twice the ammunition they normally do.
Do you know how to use one of these?
Yeah, it's like a camera. You point and shoot, right?
Good girl. Here we go.
During combat, Nate can only carry one pistol and one rifle at a time, as well as use corners and walls as cover, and use either blind or aim fire to kill enemies. While it controls fairly well, it's not the controls that make it the weakest aspect of the game, but more of the fact that it isn't necessarily fun, as you go through wave after wave of enemies.
There he is! Up there! Get on the gun! Oh boy.
The constant amount of firefights you come across are the worst. Why is there a huge firefight around every corner? Or why do enemies always happen to be in areas they supposedly needed help finding? It just doesn't make sense. And as a result, Drake's Fortune ends up feeling repetitive. There are some puzzles and some platforming segments that you'd think would offer a nice change of pace, but they're so simple and happen so far in between that they offer nothing aside from a brief break from the repetitive combat. The same could also be said for the vehicle sections. One section has Drake protecting a Jeep him and Elena are in, while another section has Nate and Elena using a jet ski to go upstream a river, while avoiding enemy fire and explosive barrels. While these vehicle sections offer a nice change of pace, they happen so far in between that they don't stop the game from being repetitive. Outside of the gameplay is the story. What makes it the strongest aspect of the game is the performances of the characters, most preferably Nate and Elena. The chemistry between the two feels rather realistic, which is more than I can say for the three antagonists of the game. For what it's worth, the voice actors did a great job portraying their characters. The thing is, the villains are underdeveloped. They have little to any backstory, and they don't get too much screen time. As a result, they end up being forgettable. Drake's Fortune's story, while simple, is great thanks to the performance of the cast, as they nail its characterization. While gameplay suffers from the constant stream of pirates and mercenaries, and moving from one infuriating firefight to the next, Drake's Fortune is still a game worth experiencing, even if the other Uncharteds have little to any relation to it aside from a few brief nods.
Nate, be careful.
Come on. I always am. Ah! I did not see that!
Videos like this are made possible by viewers like you. If you like what you see, be sure to subscribe for more.